Woo! Hell yeah. Hey guys, there's a big new event going on live right now. Civ 7 first world premiere gameplay in-depth look from the developers of Civ 7's Modern Age, the last age. This game, if you don't know, will have 3 ages, and the Age of Antiquity, the Age of Exploration, and the Age, well, the Modern Age. So we're going to take a look at it now. So welcome aboard. Good to see you all here. It just started recently, so we're a little behind, but it's okay. I actually kind of completely forgot about this stream. We put out a video a couple of days ago talking about what was coming soon for the Civ 7, things that they kind of revealed between the last big stream of the Exploration Age. Now, we've already covered the Age of Antiquity here on the channel. I've already played the game a little bit earlier this year. I went to their offices, Firaxis offices in Baltimore, and was able to play the game and chat with a bunch of other people about the game, and it was a lot of fun. Not enough time to play it. In fact, 10 hours wouldn't have been enough. You know how Civ is, but I liked what I played. Very promising to, be an exciting game. Looks like a lot of people agree, and they're hyped about a new Civ game, which is great. We'll have, we've already got the Age of Antiquity up and a lot of things about my initial playthrough and thoughts about the game and some other news. I have not yet seen the Age of Exploration, though. I think that dropped when we were busy with something else, so we'll probably be doing another first look stream of the Age of Exploration soon too, because the game will be dropping in February, mid-February of 2025, and I think January is going to go by real quick, so I think we'll take a first look at the Age of Exploration before the end of the year, and then January, any news that comes out for Civ we'll definitely cover here on the channel. So definitely make sure you subscribe. We're already talking with Firaxis, and we've kind of already teamed up to showcase stuff to you guys early. Is it good? Is it bad? I've enjoyed what I played, very little so far, but at least I'll be able to bring the news to you about what's happening, what they're adding, how things look, and show you some gameplay, and then you can judge for yourself as to whether or not you love it. So, yeah. You didn't know about this stream? Yeah, I did, and then I kind of forgot about it because there's so many different things going on. But it just started a little bit ago, so we'll jump in live and, we'll take a look at it. We're a little behind, but it's okay. It's all good. So anyway, Civ 7 coming out next year on, I think, the 11th of February. I think it'll be out on consoles, and we'll have tons of nations. We got Mexico, the USA. There's some that are, like, particularly modern age nations. Like, you wouldn't start in the Age of Antiquity with the United States or with Mexico. And they simply weren't around. So something, actually, in a way, this is kind of more historically accurate. Because nations were founded later by other nations like the British and the Americans, that kind of thing. So kind of cool what they're doing. It's an experiment, and I hope that it succeeds. I think one thing I hear about Civ 6 is a lot of people say that they didn't like that one as much as 4 and 5. So maybe 7, with the big risk that it's taking, it's a big gamble. I think either people will like it less than 6 or even more than 5. Or I guess the winning route would be liking it more than 6. But still pretty fun. It's official. Ironwood posted about the Pacific Drive series really happening. Insane. I'm happy to see it too. I think it'll be really cool. I'm really excited for that. But anyway, so Civ 7, I'm not even sure all the details yet, and I think most people aren't on like how many nations will be at launch. They're kind of still like, secretly revealing things. Technically, they've kind of shown a lot of stuff and confirmed a lot of things, but I also feel like a lot of those things could change within the first year. They could add some new DLC nations. They could add some things that weren't part of the base game. You know how it goes. So I'm excited, but a lot of hype and excitement for Civ 7 for sure. And for, I would say that I'm really excited to try to get Bradford in again. Bradford's definitely a maps guy. When it comes to games with maps, it's like Civ and Hearts of Iron and stuff really appeal to a lot of people, where it's like a grand experiment, where things are more on a macro level. But there's a lot of things here in this game that are micro. Again, we get to command separate units, like, we get to make civilian units that can affect our cities. We get to make, the generals, as you would expect. We also get to make districts, and we get to make particular infantry units to those nations, and it'll be a good time, I think. It'll be really fun to play this game in probably early February. I'll probably get a chance to play this a little bit before everybody else, and so we'll kind of be able to take a look at it, play a build that's early, and showcase it before it comes out. Worst case scenario, if it's on Game Pass, definitely get that. So you never know. But this is going to be a whopper in terms of pricing. Year Pass edition that comes with the game, and then like any future DLCs. So we'll see. This game's on your list? Yeah, good. And I'd like to play this with you guys too. I had a lot of fun playing Aura History Untold, and I want to come back to that game too, although there was something about the combat that really annoyed me in that one. But it was fun to not do combat for a while and see how the game was in that one in terms of producing items and such. And I think Civ's a little more simplistic than that, but Civ is also very complicated in its own way. I don't know. It's just fun. I think last time we played Civ 6 was earlier in 2023, because it was like on Game Pass, and I was like, oh, let's play Civ 6, and it was kind of fun to teach a couple of people how to play. And for them to play for the first time. So certainly a lot of cool things about Civ for sure. And I'm very excited for what the modern units will look like too. It looks like we got some Sherman tanks there. I think it's probably the more interesting period of warfare for me is the modern age, because that is very broad. Because modern age could be World War I, World War II, and Cold War technology is all vastly different. And you know, I mean, a Maxim machine gun is great and all, but versus a B-2 bomber, like essentially a nuclear weapon and a machine gun are both in the same realm, you know? So we'll see how it goes. But I'm really curious to how they're going to balance this out. And show transitions between the age of exploration and the modern age. Like how the transitions between the ages will truly work in a full game. Because you're... I think this is going to be the type of game where maybe you have a disadvantage at the start and maybe a disadvantage in the middle, but you got to have a strong ending if you make it. If you make it to the modern age, you really got to be strong. Even if you entered into the modern age weak, there should definitely be some things to really buff up whatever empire you go down, like the French Empire. I think we have the French, Japan, the United States. There's a couple of nations that are like more modern specific, so we'll see. But I'm not sure. Stream starting soon. What's up, CW? Welcome back, guys. Good to see you all here. I'm really wanting to play this game again. I think it would be really cool if they did like a playtest or beta before release, just to like test the servers or something. But I don't know if they're gonna have problems with the turn-based. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? There's gonna be a lot of people playing. There's gonna be like cross-play, so there's a lot of things that have to go right on launch for it to do really well. You know, you're gonna have people playing on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC who might want to all play together. So hopefully there's not problems with that. The game looks pretty, though. I really like the look of the units and the buildings. Like, some of the appearances of the units on the map and the monuments and, like, famous structures and things look good. The walls and everything. It looks good. It's been really fun. I think when we put up official gameplay, I think what I'm going to do is probably do, like a day one first look at the game and just show off all, all the nations in the game, and then, like, starting on a game, because everybody's going to start in the age of antiquity, and so it's going to be pretty... I think your start's going to be, you know, more standard than, like, you branch out from there. Like, the starts are going to be the most limited part of the game, but still, like, the most important part. But then, like, from there, you branch out, and, you know, you can build. Like, this, yeah, everybody starts the same, you know, you'll start with the one city, or maybe you could choose a game mode where you just start with the settler, you know? So you'll build your city, and then your units and stuff. That'll be the same for everybody. We'll see how it goes. Yo, thanks for all the new subs, guys. This is gonna be cool. I'm excited to see what we got for the modern age. When I saw them go live, I was finishing up my lunch. I was like, oh, I want to cover this, because I've been waiting to see more of Civ 7, and I hope they do. I think last month they did their Age of Exploration stream, and then I think before that they did their Age of Antiquity, and I think even before that they did like a pre-order bonus thing. I think there's a Native American civilization that you get access to if you get the pre-order, and I think they covered that civilization and leaders and stuff like that too. Civ 5 is $2.99 on Steam. Oh, wait until we get Steam sale on the 19th. Yeah, there's going to be a Steam sale on the 19th, so that should be pretty interesting. You forgot which Native American tribe is going to be included in the game. Yeah, there's a... I don't know if... There's probably a whole list of all the civilizations, but they did mention... Let me check here. For the bonus... Let's see here. So they did a stream on Tukamesh featuring the Shawnee special guests. Or I guess they had people from the Shawnee tribe in there, maybe playing with them or something. I don't know. But anyway, that I think is their leader, Tukumse, and then Shawnee as part of the tribe, I think. So that'll be cool. So those were their 3 streams since basically announcing the game. So at 3 months ago, they had their announcement of the game, Sid Meier Civilization 7 official gameplay showcase. So that was 3 months ago. And then at PAX West, they showed about an hour, I think we actually watched that, an hour-long presentation of basically what they were trying to do with Civ 7. Then they showed the Age of Antiquity. Then they showed that pre-order bonus. Then they showed the Age of Exploration and now the Modern Age. So they probably got 1 or 2 more streams lined up before the end. Maybe they'll... I don't know what they'll do. I was going to think like maybe a full game, but that seems like it would be a very long time. Unless they had something very specific set up where it was like maybe a scenario or something? I don't know. But I hope they do 1 or 2 more streams beforehand. That'll be cool. Well, goodbye, Neo Cortex. We'll see you later. Let us know when you learn about empathy and kindness. Imagine that level of absolute narcissism and entitlement. That's insane. That's insane. I can't believe that, man. We're gonna have our mods check that out. Let's see. Yep, account created 6 months ago. No subs, no content, nothing on his own. It's just a doomer consumer. That's a sad story, man. Have a good life, dude. Good luck to you. That's sad. Thank you very much, Ahmad, for the Raptor Egg membership, dude. Welcome aboard. Good to see you. Welcome, man. This looks beautiful, just popping up to say hi. Well, hello and welcome, dude. Check out Buddhism. I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be religion showed in this one. I don't know. Civ 6 complete bundle is $16.66. Wow. Oh, so that's Civ 6 and all DLCs? Awesome, man. Yeah, this music playing, this was like primarily a lot of the soundtrack that I heard when I was playing it. So I've already played Civ 7, and I've already heard... you know, I've already played the game quite a bit and heard a lot of the music and chatted with these guys like Ed and stuff, like face to face. Actually chatted with everybody, which is really cool. Yeah, the music's very nice. I like it. Is this one turn-based? It sure is. And it's also based in 3 ages, so those also act like a large turn in themselves, if you think about it. Like on a macro level. Very nice. McNuggets, you having a bad day? Thanks for streaming this, dude. Hey, man, thanks for being here. Happy holidays to you and good to see you. Welcome aboard. Anything about the combat? I know they were changing it a bit by getting it involved with custom generals. Yeah. It felt a little different when I played it. I can't explain how, because it was kind of like I only got to attack... Actually, I almost conquered, I think, all of Egypt. I think I was playing as Rome. Or I was Egypt, I can't remember. But yeah, I was basically able to almost take over all the other enemy teams and stuff. The combat was fun. Yeah, it was really nice. I thought it was cool. Your favorite thing about Civ games is the replay at the end showing your empire growing. I hope they keep that. Oh, really? Was that a thing? It would show you like a time-lapse growth of your city. That's pretty cool. Or of your cities. You know, because we played Aura History Untold, I've just been in the mood to play. I don't know if I want to play Civ 6 again before going into 7. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really play much of Civ 4. I played, I think the first Civ I played was maybe Civ 2 or 3. And then I know I haven't played 4 or 5. And then I got back in with 6 because it was like free. But I needed a group of people to play like Civ 5 and 4 with, you know, to like get me into it at the time. Like I would have loved to have had Bradford or somebody else around to play. And it would have been quite fun. Would have been really nice. Boom, boom. Yeah, the turn-based aspect of this game is really neat. It's certainly different. But I mean, they did turn-based because that's kind of all that PCs could handle back in the day. Like when I saw the computer that Sid Meier made the first Civilization on, and that PC, at the time that it was like $40,000 in today's money. $40,000 to buy a crappy PC to make Civ 1. And all that time that they took to do that. That's impressive. I love that how, like, with the, you know, Myst and Riven, they were able to do the same thing. That was really cool. That was really neat. Yeah, there is a video of my favorite game on the channel, if you can find it. It came out recently, my favorite game of all time. Oh, right, Flute Guy. Flute Guy is back, that is true. Yep. Not a month go by where you don't have a game of Civ 6. Oh, that's awesome. I'd like to play with friends, but I feel like, for me, Anno 1800 is like also like Civ, where it takes a very long time to play, and if you were to go through a full game, you need people like meeting every weekend at the same time for the same amount of time to play, but everybody just gets too busy, and I hate that feeling of abandoning that stuff. We'll be going back to more Anno, too, before 11.7 comes out. So next year we got Civ 7, we got a new Anno game. We got, you know, Rome coming for Anno. We got, you know, Rome coming for Civ 7. I couldn't imagine a Civ game without, like, Rome and Egypt and Greece and maybe China and Korea. We'll see what the beginning nations are. On one hand, they have been telling me some secret stuff that I can't tell you guys. On the other hand, I kind of don't want to know. Like, there's a lot of things that I want to discover on day one myself. But you know, when we do our videos on it, there is absolutely no way that on day one anybody will have enough time in this game. Even if they give everybody a month ahead access, a month to play Civ 7 ahead of time, still not enough time to like cover all the stuff there is. Religion, military, between the 3 different ages. It's gonna be crazy, man. Gonna be crazy. It's a good times. Anno 11.7 indeed. Alright, let's get this show on the road. A lot of people are jumping in. We're just a little behind because I started just moments ago. So we'll go ahead and jump to right about here. And I like to enjoy that music too. You love spoilers and secrets? I don't want to spoil all the secrets, but I guess unintentionally we're about to. Alright, cool. Let's go. Oh, the Taj Mahal there? Beautiful. They've been showing this image over on the right quite a bit. The biplane with the T-34s. Japan there looks beautiful, or maybe that was China. Oh, T-34 on the left with the troops. I guess the modern age would also include the Industrial Revolution. So you would see a lot of steam-powered equipment, maybe electricity production. We'll see. Bum, 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 bum. 6 minutes. Hold on. Oh, those are beautiful images, man. The boat pulling up. Those temples are pretty. Also, a lot of the themed buildings are beautiful, too. Beautiful trees, too. I'm more concerned about building a pretty city. But I'm sure they'll all look beautiful when you build them. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, Civ is going to be drastically different. It's going to be unfamiliar. It's going to be cool. I don't know. I'm just excited to see what they have, and I hope I really enjoy my time with friends. I'll play a little bit against the AI, and when I learn, then we'll hopefully invite the boys out for a run. It'll be a good time. Man, that castle on the left looks pretty too. Pretty. Alright, one's in the chat if you're hyped. One's in the chat if you're excited. One's in the chat for this music. One's in the chat for Flute Guy. One's in the chat if you haven't put a one in the chat. We're about ready to go. Who am I having for Civ action later? Oh, well, in terms of picking a Civ, that I don't know yet for Age of Antiquity through to the Age of the Modern Age. But friend-wise, I don't know. I'll invite everybody and see who shows up, and then have chat fill in for anybody from the troop who doesn't get the game or whatnot. One in the chat, one in the chat. Alright, everyone's excited. I can see it. A lot of hype and a lot of excitement. There's a lot of hype.
There's a lot of hype. It's a lot of hype and excitement.
That's right. Alright, so we're going to see modern warfare today, modern city building, modern civilizations, maybe, I don't know, nuclear weaponry, maybe aircraft carriers and naval landings. Iwa, Iwa, Iwa. Oh, I'm ready. My body is ready. My mind is ready. Wait, maybe I'm not ready. I don't know. The more I learn about this game, the more I get scared, too. I get overwhelmed. Like, in Civilization 7, you can build cities. Oh, my God. Too much. Too much, dude. I'm out. You can explore the landscape. Ah, too much. Too much. Are we going to see Call of Duty Modern Warfare? I mean, maybe some of the stuff that you may have seen in a Call of Duty before. The number, Sid, what do they mean? Alright. We're about a minute out from Sid Meier's Civilization 7. Anything you guys want to see? Like, what's one thing you guys want to see? I want to see a nuclear submarine surface and fire a missile, like a cruise missile or something. I want to see modern skyscrapers. I want to see trains, or like an international airport, some sort of infrastructure that could connect your... Oh, it'd be amazing if you could connect your cities via planes rather than, like, you know, trade roads or something. Some sort of other way to connect your cities other than roads. That'd be interesting. Damn, this music's good. You want to see combat? Yep. Combat I definitely want to see. I think they absolutely need to show what that would be like. The Industrial Age, yes. And all the beautiful brick buildings and everything. Space Age, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, here we go. Let's begin.
The past is more than what we leave behind. We celebrate our triumphs.
Ooh.
And bury our regrets. Every age has its secrets. In each layer of history, we can rediscover hope. A way to chart our future.
Pretty. This is the opening cinematic for the game, by the way. When you fire it up, this will play. Well, that was a quick deal. I have a sword here. Stand by. Okay, bye.
Countless stories are carved into the Earth's strata. The lessons of one age augur the next. We must learn from our past.
Diana from Hitman. Yeah, I believe that's the same voice actress.
The future is waiting.
Well, there's your space. Build something you believe in. Admire Civilization 7, February 11th. Here we go.
Hey Civ fans, it's Sarah, your CM here. Thanks so much for joining us today for this live stream. We have shown you antiquity, we've shown you exploration, and now we are super stoked to show you the modern age today. We've got two new first looks to show you, one for Benjamin Franklin and one for a surprise leader we're really excited to show off. And we're also going to be diving into some modern age mechanics as well. And to speak to it all, I'm joined by Ed Beach, our creative director. Ed, in a couple words, how are you feeling about the modern age?
This is, I mean, I was really excited for the exploration age save, but this is another level. This is the end of our story. We have a 3-chapter story that we've been telling. This is where it all comes to a big conclusion. And you said we have a few mechanics to show. We have a lot of mechanics to show. The modern age is packed with content, packed with new systems. So I hope everyone's ready for quite a few explanations and some deep dives into things over the next couple hours.
We have 2 hours to do it, and we will try to get through as much as we can. I'm also joined by Carl Berrien Harrison, our lead designer. He joins us yet again from paternity leave. So Carl, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
On a scale, using Civ difficulties, how are you feeling about parenthood?
I'm going to put it at an immortal, not quite deity. There are certainly deity level hard days, but there's a lot of ones that are much nicer. Just this morning as I was coming in for this stream, my son was smiling at me and giving me all kinds of cute looks. So, days like that are particularly special.
Nice. Well, from us at Firaxis, and obviously a lot of our players do, we just say congratulations to you. Don't forget, you have another
had a new baby.
today to earn that Twitch
She
drop.
is the
So
community
all you have to
manager
do is watch
for
15
Civilization
minutes and
7.
Be sure to link
I think her
your
name's
2K
Sarah.
account as well. This will give you an
Twitch
exclusive
drops?
Exploration Age banner, which is really cool to use in the game. You can use it in places like the multiplayer lobby or the load screen. And just as a reminder, Civ 7 will not come with microtransactions nor loot boxes. These are just really cool ways to customize your profile. And you could use this new banner when Civ 7 launches on February 11th, 2025, which is right around the corner.
Yeah.
You can even play it earlier if you pre-order February 6th.
Boo.
And remember that we're
Boo.
coming out day and date for PC.
Oh, they
and
prided
console. That's
themselves on that
crossplay
no
and
cosmetics
cross-save
thing or
day
no
one,
pre-order
which is
stuff, but
really, really incredible.
so the actual real
And then
release
last
date
plugin, we just
is
showed
February
the,
6th, but then they
the
delayed it
collector's edition
for the
items.
poors.
So for those Civ fans that really like the physical
People who
merch,
didn't wanna
that's
shill
a
out
really cool edition
$100
to check
bucks.
out, so definitely do so. So what to expect?
Hate
from this
when they
live
do
stream? We
that,
talked
dude.
about it a little
Stop
bit.
doing that, devs.
We're going to
Stop
be
that.
showing off some first looks. We're going to be showing off
Pay
some
us more,
modern age mechanics. Ed, what are some
Hate
of
it.
maybe those mechanics that we might see on the stream?
So remember that in each of our ages, we have legacy paths, which are how you build up your reputation in various parts of the game, whether it's science or culture or military or economics. We'll be showing you what those are like in the military, in the modern age. We're also going to show how the game ends. So the legacy paths have been sort of how you score points as you go through the game up until now, but that's not the way we want a proper Civ game to end, so we'll be explaining that, and we'll go into what a victory is all about as well. Just in terms of mechanics, there's, I know fans out there who are really excited for us to show off railroads. We'll get to those. Industrial Revolution.
Woo!
works,
Oh, Industrial
and we'll get
Revolution, let's
into all
go.
the crazy
Oh,
additions
oh.
to combat in terms of
Oh my
air
God.
power and what that looks
Be
like.
still my beating
So
heart.
while we
Oh,
show you all of that awesome stuff, you can feel free to leave some questions in chat for the devs. We will do our best throughout all this.
that's
gameplay
actually
to
lit.
we
That's
can.
literally what I said I wanted to
But
see. I
without
didn't know that
further
was in
ado,
there.
Why don't we
I had no
start
idea.
off with that first look for that surprise leader I mentioned?
Surprise leader. Harriet Tubman.
I never lost a passenger. Never crashed my train.
Oh my God, that's what's her name?
Not many can say the same.
See her.
Born Araminta Ross.
Bro,
to
she is in
enslaved parents
everything.
In Maryland.
That
Harriet
voice actress is in
Tubman
everything.
Escaped from slavery and dedicated her life to saving countless others via the Underground Railroad. Facing difficult odds, Tubman quickly moved enslaved peoples through a network of safe houses and across treacherous terrain to reach freedom.
Oh, her
Harriet Tubman
movement.
excels at operating in secret, which makes her an excellent spy master.
Ooh.
And if war becomes inevitable, she has the resilience to persevere. In the modern age, consider pairing Harriet Tubman with America, whose production bonuses will help you build toward a better future.
That's cool. Look at
Or
how cool
choose a
those
different
buildings
path,
look.
All
Damn.
your own.
I'm going to love the
Whatever
modern
you
age
build,
because I'm just going to compare it to how the
to
buildings
build
of
something
1800
you
looked for
believe in.
Anno. Love it. That looks so pretty. I love the look of the buildings. Hype and excitement.
So that was our first look for Harriet Tubman. Ed, can you tell us a little bit about
Railroads
why
and
Harriet
underground
Tubman
railroads.
versus
That's
Civ
right.
Harriet Tubman is a leader choice that's sort of near and dear to our heart at Firaxis Games. Firaxis is based in Maryland, and if you look at historical figures from the state of Maryland, Harriet Tubman's right at the top of the list. So she was born on the eastern shore of Maryland across the Chesapeake Bay from Baltimore and Annapolis. And over on the eastern shore, there was a lot of slaveholding plantations. She was born on one of those in an enslaved status. It wasn't until she reached somewhere between 25 and 30 that she was able to figure out a way. She was about to be sold off to another family. She didn't want to go through that. She escaped. She made it to Pennsylvania. It was a dramatic moment in her life. She was actually across that state line and in Union territory and safe from enslavement. And she made the decision that she was going to go back home. She went back home 13 times
Damn.
to pull more of her family members out. get them to freedom into the north.
Damn,
So
dude.
she's a local hero for us. She's a local hero for the whole state of Maryland. And we can bring some interesting, brand new type of gameplay through this type of leader that we maybe wouldn't have had with a political leader. So just like Machiavelli and Confucius and some of the other leaders that we've shown, she's a great representation of how not having those.
I forgot some of the other
political
leaders
states
they've
is
shown, and I got to
really
see some of them
interesting.
from the
That's
exploration
awesome.
age
Yeah, we
too.
are so
Because you can pair those
excited,
leaders
I think,
with
to
whoever you
represent
want.
Harriet in this game, and also to show off her really cool abilities as well.
You could have her like
And I
with
know we
Mexico or
talked just
something if
on
you
the
wanted, which is
subject of
cool.
leaders. We are close to launch at this point. We have revealed the full number of civs, I think at a previous panel, as 31 civs, which is the most civs to ever come at launch with a civ game. which is
31
awesome.
different
Don't
civilizations.
think
Whoa.
that we have yet revealed the number for leaders. So why don't we talk numbers right now? Like I said, at launch, 31 civs, and our leader count will be 26 at launch, including 5 personas, which I think at one point we had mentioned that this was the most leaders as well for a Civ game. Some of our eagle-eyed Civ historians were pointing out that this makes us tied with Civ 4's roster at launch.
Really?
Which also very impressive roster for Civ 4. But I know that we're really proud of the leaders that we put in this game and the depth that I think we're able to go into with each of them, including the personas as well. So we're super excited to show those off. Why don't we go
I'm
ahead
taking
and
notes. I'm
let's
taking
load up
notes.
some gameplay as well.
Oh, let's play the game. Let's go.
So Carl's going to be driving today, but this is actually a game that I started playing. I was aware that we were going to do a couple different saves that we we're going to show today, so I wanted to go ahead and help us out by getting a Harriet Tubman game set up. And I had to choose my pathway through history like you always do in Civ 7. And I was trying to think about how would Harriet Tubman make sense evolving towards an American Civ, because we knew we wanted to end with showing American gameplay. And she's a leader that automatically unlocks America. So I thought about her heritage and where she had come from. Her grandmother had been one of those enslaved people who was transported from West Africa to the United States. And so I thought, well, maybe I can somehow represent her West African heritage somehow with my gameplay in this game. So I thought, well, that's probably the Songhai Empire in exploration. Songhai bonus, get great bonuses from Navigable River. They pair really well with Egypt. So I started with Egypt. My capital was Waset, up in the top of the map that Carl's showing you, on this really cool lake with a Navigable River that's spilled out to the sea. But let me point out, this was actually not the first time I started a game as Egypt and Harriet Tubman. I actually was pretty confident I could go on Immortal difficulty, get a game up and going. It would proceed without a problem, without a hitch, and we'd get right to the live screen. That was not the case. I went into that game, saw some great navigable rivers, sent my settlers out there. Immediately, those spots were contested by the AIs nearby. I had multiple AIs going for those rivers. I did not get there. I got smacked back, and I actually had to restart. So this is Ed's game number 2.
This is the better timeline.
Yes,
we're in right
this
now.
is a way better timeline. I actually had such a nice setup with these multiple navigable rivers that I was in such a strong place by the end of Antiquity that I actually had 3 different opponents declare war on me within the first 10 turns of exploration.
Wow.
And so, Carl, why don't you show us what one of Harriet Tubman's abilities is that really helped me out during that time period?
Sounds good. So Harriet Tubman's ability is called Combahee Raid. She gets extra influence towards espionage actions and then additional war support on wars declared against her. War support is how you impose war weariness penalties on other players. And so getting 5 free war support is a huge bonus when other people declare war on you.
And then the last bit, units ignore movement penalties.
Marine,
vegetation.
prospector.
Yeah, that's really useful all the time. Whether it's
It
you're
is.
moving your military units, I thought
an American
that
unique
that was gonna
civilian
help me
unit.
Get out there and get those navigable rivers claimed with my early
Claims land
settling,
resources.
But it
Oh.
wasn't to be in the first game. It was only
Some
the
of those
second
were
game
cool.
where I managed to achieve that. So now we're in the third age. So I've been talking about sort of the game as it evolved through those first 2 ages. We'll get more into exactly what happened with the Songhai. But we are in turn 1 of the modern age, and so just like we showed in the exploration age live stream about how exploration starts, and you have legacies that you've established from your gameplay in the first 2 ages, we have legacies here, and Carl's going to walk us through some of our choices.
Yep, so we are here choosing our legacy options from the points that you had earned, and we can see that you have 3 economic points and 3 science points, which are the most that you can earn in those categories, which means you completed those legacy paths. You have 0 points in cultural, though, Ed, which means that you didn't make any progress there.
Ed said no to culture.
I actually said no to religion pretty much for that. You know, I'm a big religion player, but not in this game. I was very focused on the Treasure Fleet gameplay and using Songhai's unique ability to get treasure fleets from navigable river cities. That was a big.
Oh, that's a crazy combo.
Without having a huge overseas empire,
Sure.
I was still able to finish that economic path.
Sure, and then even speaking of religion, we can see that there are some religious symbols on our cities here in the background, so it is still around here in the modern age. But because you got no progress in the cultural legacy path, you did hit a cultural dark age. So we have
Cultural
this
dark
option
age.
available to us, cultural dark age, which all dark age options give you a huge boost to that type, victory type, or excuse me, legacy path type in the next age at some kind of penalty. The other penalty that comes with them is that they consume all of your other points. So if we were to select this, we can see that it zeroes out all of our points here. They're all spent on this option. That's a big switch from picking lots of small individual bonuses to this really big chunky thing that might really revolutionize our gameplay. We are not going to pick this today. We just wanted to show that. Instead, we're going to keep those points and we're going to start assigning them out to the different options that we have here. So we're going to get some attribute points. You did get the Treasure Fleet Golden Age because you completed that path. I don't want that one there. We're going to go with resources and an economic point. And that's because you can only pick one Golden Age option. You got the economic one and the science one. The science one lets your universities stay active and relevant in this new age, which would give us not 2, but 3 active science buildings, which is huge. So we're going to go ahead and pick that. And then we want to move our capital. And you talked about that you started founding some cities over in the New World. Timbuktu is one that you've put out in the ocean. Makes a really good.
It's not a real
midway point.
place.
So we're going to choose Timbuktu as our new capital, and that will upgrade to Washington, D.C.
Oh.
So remember those words that Carl just went over there, artifacts and explorers? They're going to come up in just a moment when we talk about the cultural legacy path in modern. I was actually able to do well in the science victory in the previous age, which is the Enlightenment legacy path, because you can see I had a lot of Egyptian wonders in both my main cities. Also great adjacency bonuses from some of those navigable river and coastal tiles. And so that's how you win Enlightenment, is very, very powerful individual urban tiles with large adjacency bonuses.
Wow,
and,
Washington, D.C. is an
that worked out
island.
very nicely for me.
Okay.
Oh, so you can see Washington, D.C. over there.
Yes, the
Wow.
former Timbuktu. It has now rebranded itself.
So we're ready to start making some choices here at the start of the new age. So let's go ahead and dive into our tech tree. And as we can see our tech tree here, this is a lot of really great modern age tech. So Ed, why don't you tell us a little bit about modern age?
Okay, so if you looked very closely at our screen before, you could see that the modern age starts in the year 1750. So that's just at the point in time where monarchies are starting to be really challenged and crumbling under the pressure of maybe the French Revolution or the American Revolution. We're really evolving towards the modern nation state with big, large national armies. Sort of the time of Napoleon is just about upon us. And so we're going to start there early in the 19th century and move towards the back half of the 19th century where we have the Industrial Revolution kicking in. So you can see at the bottom of our tech tree, we have industrialization, above that combustion, above that urbanization. These are all the sort of later 19th century technologies that are really going to change the way commerce happens, what we're going to be doing with our resources. We'll see that very soon. And things like factories and railroads are going to become crucially important.
Want to see those railroads?
There's a lot more to the modern age after that. This is just a chock full of content age. We have to proceed through the world wars. We have to get to flight. We have to turn the early flight experiments into aircraft. They're going to be used for military purposes. Eventually we get to rocketry. All that's within this age. We love to have our ages with a big climactic conflict between the players where they're really fighting it out. The modern age with the world wars really fits that bill very nicely. So that's what we decided. We decided we have so much content. This is the fullest age we have. It's already set up sort of perfectly in terms of the way the history lays out. And we're just going to say that's our third age. That's perfect for the end of a civilization game.
The
now,
World
there's
Wars.
some content after that that players are familiar with. The Cold War kicks in, you know, and obviously history has marched on to the present. That's not something you're going to see in Civ 7 at launch, but we'll be talking about the plans for how that gets into the game.
Wait, what?
When it's the right time.
Lots of room to grow for sure. And we do only have 2 hours, but I'm really excited to show off some of those techs that you talked about, like railroads and factories as well.
Absolutely. But first, we have some additional choices to make here, and I think we're ready to choose our Civic. So if we open our Civic Tree, we're able to see what that looks like for the modern age.
A couple of these are critical. So natural history is the Civic that lets you launch into exploring your past, gets you the Explorer unit, who is our
Exploring your
unit
past?
that's involved with the archaeology system. Similar to Civ 5 and 6, which had archaeology systems, we have one here. It also takes note of where things occurred in previous ages.
Right.
There's a,
Are we going to be able to
recording
dig
of
up
that
things
that's
from
going
our
on in the
past and then like
background,
get
and
perks that
information is
carry
being
over
dug
because
back
we
up here,
rediscover
sort of
them?
by the game to present things for players. But you have to research natural history to get into that legacy path. And what natural history does is it lets you build the Explorer unit and then send those explorers to either universities that were created during the Exploration Age or museums that you may have created here in the modern age. And those are places where the knowledge of those ancient antiquity civilizations and the Exploration Age conflicts, all that is sort of stored in those universities and museums. And that's a place where an explorer can go and figure out where are the right places to dig to get artifacts to help towards this cultural legacy path are.
Oh,
So-
that's
And
really
then
cool
we
that
can
you're
also
digging
see
up
them in
stuff
a few
from
other
your
ways.
past
We
that
just
you
placed,
had to.
one of our new
That
buildings,
is
the
kind of neat
grocer
that you're
down
digging
up
up
around this
from
floodplain.
places that you
And that
built
gives us a new
before.
narrative event, which if we open up, we can see is talking about discovering an archaeological treasure. And if we look over at that choice, it says the story continues. We don't get told what we will receive if we select this.
it's
It tells us
mystery.
exactly. It tells us later on there will be an additional bit of story that comes up from this, and that will come with its own choice. Or we can just go ahead and opt out and get a lot of happiness right now. I think we'll go ahead and select to get this archaeological treasure in the future.
Our narrative director, Kat, she put together a really incredible dev diary on this system too, so definitely encourage everybody to go check that out.
And then looks like we've got some resource assignments available.
So let's talk about resources in this age. Resources have always been
man is from
divided into
Denmark?
three categories: bonus, city, and empire. We talked about those in the antiquities.
Oh, look at all
and we'll
those
talk about them
resources.
here because they function
Chocolate,
the same way.
fish.
In the exploration age, we had a special type of resource called the treasure resources. We do not have treasure resources here. Instead, we have another new category, what we call factory resources. Factory resources are one that are going to be especially useful once we hit the Industrial Revolution and we bring
Probably
factories online and
civilization-wide.
we want to produce manufactured goods out of those factories.
Oh, yeah.
The way that works is your cities with your factories have resource slots.
Yep.
Just like Carl's showing here, he's filling his resource slots with the city and bonus resources. But once a factory's online, we can take those same slots and fill them with one of these factory goods. And each factory good has a unique bonus that applies empire-wide.
Yep,
The more
that's what I was
goods you can pump
expecting.
into that
Okay.
factory, the more times those bonuses will stack up for you.
Yep.
So some very powerful effects you can get out of that. And that's also going to help towards one of the legacy paths that we're going to see real soon.
That's what
Go ahead
I
and take a look at it now.
Okay. So the Age Project
Railroad
Civ screen
Tycoon.
is set up the same way as it was before.
I love that
with
game.
The 4 different legacy paths. The first one we're going to talk about is this Railroad Tycoon path that is about getting the proper factory resources into those towns with factories and applying the manufacturing process to them. So it looks like, oh my goodness, there are a lot of little subdivisions on this legacy path. Some of these legacy paths before only showed like 7 divisions, and this one has just hundreds of them. And that's because of the way this particular legacy path is scored. So if I have 5 resources. So for instance, we were looking at cotton as one of our factory resources. If I have 5 cotton and I put them in a city with a factory that has 5 resource slots, what that's going to do is it's going to give me the cotton bonus 5 times over, but each turn that sits there in place, I'll get 5 points towards this victory. So imagine you have 5 cities set up like that, and factories can be in towns as well. So you can actually, it's not inconceivable to have 8 to 10 factories going at once.
As long as they're connected by rail.
Right.
Right.
All has to be connected by rail, or you can get islands connected if you have set up ports. The right way. But no matter what, all those factories, if they're connected in, they're scoring you points towards this victory.
Widescreen support?
So
I'd say check the Steam store page.
As crazy as it sounds.
Okay, factories and railroads sounds really interesting, especially if you can bomb those
One thing you'll see on these
things.
screens is the far
Or capture
right
them.
lower corner. There's now a big victory symbol there and some details there. We'll be going into exactly what those mean later, but keep in mind that in the previous ages, you were trying to get to the right-hand edge of a legacy path to earn those Golden Age cards we were talking about. Now, getting to the end of a legacy path unlocks a victory for you.
Right.
All right, so let's look at the culture path. We've alluded to that quite a bit with the talk about the explorer and how the first thing you have to do is study natural history and then train one of him and have one of your explorers. That person should go out and research where the artifacts are and then go out to the sites. Artifacts are housed in museums that can be built once you research natural history, and once you get to 15 of those, then you finish that legacy path.
I do have a quick question from chat. Puri710 asks, in these presentations, a lot of real-world conflicts are referred to as if they're canon. Are we going to be going through guaranteed conflicts based on history?
So the way the game is set up is no different than any previous Civ game is. There's no scripting of the events or the conflicts. It's all the dynamic interrelation of the leaders, the friction caused by our diplomatic system. We've shown off the diplomatic system before. We'll show it off again here, where we're talking about like what the relationship scores are. There are some things we do to sort of nudge the game towards those conflicts, and that's not any different than how ideologies were portrayed in Civ 5 or Civ 6, where if I chose to be a Democrat and someone else chose to be communist or fascism, that ideological friction just caused us naturally to dislike each other, and eventually your AI opponents are going to go to war over that. There's another incentive to go to war here on the military legacy path, and we'll get to that soon.
Got it.
Oh, units
So
are
it looks like
moving.
we're heading toward an independent
Oh, and they got a
power
cannon
from
with
what's going
them.
on screen.
So over here, this is the distant lands, and there's a lot of mostly open territory, but at the end of the very first turn, you have independent powers spawn into the map. And so while this looked wide open for us to settle, it did get a bunch of independent powers here. America really likes to expand into this kind of open territory and claim lots of resources. They get gold every time they improve a resource. So this is really juicy for us as America, and we really want to go and take as much of that as possible. Here we have the beautiful Grand Canyon natural wonder, so we're going to go try to settle that.
That's
But
pretty.
in order to settle it, we first have to clear out the independent powers, so
That's
I'm
right.
moving an army commander into that area to start that process. I also went ahead and purchased a prospector, which is America's unique civilian unit.
That's
The
right.
prospector can go outside of the normal radius of a city, which is 3 tiles. It can go to 4 or even 5 tiles away to improve
Oh, we're gonna
land
see some war,
resources,
boys. They got a cannon
acquiring
with them
as part of
too.
that city, placing an improvement there, and giving you that resource. And that still gives you the free gold for America's ability.
That seems
Plus,
powerful.
Harriet Tubman's prospectors can move over vegetated terrain.
Which we'll see here in just a second, because this tile is vegetated
Yeah.
and normally would stop our movement, and we're going to be able to go right through it.
Nothing could stop Tubman. Uh-oh.
So we got a celebration here, so we're going to go ahead and pick that effect. I chose authoritarianism as our government, so we can do either military unit production or combat strength. And because we're about to start fighting this independent power, I'm going to pick combat strength.
That makes sense.
And
Well,
that also gives us a policy slot, so we'll go ahead and slot in a new policy here.
While you pick this, another quick question from chat. Van Harian asks, will AI be able to trigger the advance to the next stage?
So all players sort of combine together to move the game towards the next stage. The 2% progress we're seeing here, obviously we're just at the very dawn of the modern age, but each turn that progress ticks up, but also anytime one of those milestones, one of those big achievement bars on one of the legacy paths is encountered by any player for the first time, that provides a
They got a lot of
major
units
boost
suddenly.
to the age progress, and that can be triggered by either the AI
There goes that artillery.
opponents or by the human players. So if you're sitting around not doing anything and you're letting the AI,
The game will keep going.
yeah, history will leave you behind.
Right, right. Seeing the animations up close is so cool.
And once again, that combat continues to play out over the rest of the turn.
Not doing extra damage over and over again, but
No,
the animation
just the
is
animation
playing,
continues.
yes.
So we do have another diplomatic action to
That's cool.
respond
You
to,
know
so
they're
we'll go
fighting
ahead and
then.
Resolve that. So whenever any diplomatic action comes up, we have the three options: support, accept, or reject. Supporting or rejecting always costs influence. And this happens for pretty much any diplomatic action that occurs. We released a short on the diplomacy system yesterday. If you haven't seen it, make sure to check that out.
All shorts.
So this is an endeavor, so it's positive for me, but if it were a sanction, let's say, which is negative for me, I would still have the option to reject that sanction, which costs me influence, so there's an opportunity cost there, but I do have options in how
Seems
I want
pretty
to interact
expensive.
with this. I'm going to go ahead and pick accept, which is free, because I want to save our influence for doing some espionage as Harriet Tubman.
Ooh.
She gets plus 100%.
She does get a bonus,
influence
yes.
towards espionage actions.
Sneaky spy.
And we're going to go ahead and take an espionage action against Xerxes, who we are
Not friendly with.
Not friendly with. So here we can see all of the options available to us. There's all of these endeavors and sanctions. We can try to make improve our relationship with him, for example. But by doing espionage, this is a hidden option. All these others, the leader will get to see what we're doing, and so will every other leader in the game. But espionage is secret. There is a reveal chance, so if we were revealed while doing this action, the leader would get a bunch of grievances against us and a lot of free influence that they could then use on their own actions of any type. But we get to have these at a much cheaper cost. You can see these are 40 and 80, whereas the other types are much, much more expensive
And
if we were
that's
trying to do that.
Sanctions, espionage.
That's because of
ability, right?
Tubman's unique ability, yeah.
She's
So
basically got half cost in this whole section. Of
exactly.
Wow,
So
damn.
we're going to go ahead and steal technological advancement. He'll have no idea that we're doing this unless we get revealed, and he has no recourse. Like I said, with endeavors and sanctions, you can choose to reject it. This just happens.
He could set up a counter spy.
Unless he sets up a counter spy, and counter spying will increase the time it takes to resolve an espionage action and increase that reveal chance.
So we have a 100% chance.
We have 100%. So this is going to happen no matter what. It's just whether or not he discovers it and then gets bonuses to himself as a result.
And it can be delayed if he counter spies it.
Yes.
So we may not be able to play the full 10 turns to see what comes out of this.
Right.
But what were to happen were we to be successful?
So in the case of steel technology, we would get a free technology out of that. I believe it's the cheapest one that he has discovered that we have not. It did say on the tooltip there, I didn't read the whole thing. But for those who will
So
go back
Carl,
and
would you
screenshot it.
save any of your
I hope to
influence
see
for
more
the other two
espionage
city states
options.
here playing this out, or
I think that as America, we would just take over all of these. We have lots of available settlement limit. You start at 16 at the beginning of Modern. So we have tons of available.
I assume
settlements
that's
that we
probably
can
not
create.
hard capped.
If we take over all these independent powers and then send out settlers, we'll get lots
no,
of.
I would play it differently.
Wow.
I would keep at least one of them.
You keep one?
I think probably, I mean, there are 4 of them here. I think one of them is worth it just to get the suzerain bonus.
Big
from the
timbers.
city-states. We might want to
Take big timber.
strategically pick. These all look like militaristic ones,
They
aren't
are
they?
all military ones.
So it doesn't matter which one we keep it alive. But some of the bonuses are very, very strong. And just to remind people, we've shown what city-state bonuses look like in previous ages, but here in the modern age, they're even more powerful and effective than in any of the previous ages. So there's something you definitely don't want to discount.
I think it can be a real race with other players, right? To see who can get to the city-states first, too. So we're ranking up a commander.
Yeah, we just unlocked a promotion.
Higher
I
on
have
assault.
another question from chat. Can you speed up how long spies take to complete one of the actions?
Not sure there are any abilities I'm aware of that do that. So I think it's pretty much, it's shown there. And
Is that cannon
yeah,
within
it's,
range to attack?
Perhaps the game settings.
I feel like that should be able to attack over a couple of tiles.
They absolutely do change based on game speed for
Right.
sure. But we have fertile ground for all sorts of bonuses to be applied to all sorts of civilizations as the content starts rolling out for this game. So, I'm sure our content team's paying attention right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We get some
You
good
may
ideas
see
from our community.
exactly. You may see ideas like that creeping in very soon.
So our prospector is ready. You can see that this silk tile is outside of our normal 3-tile range, but if we improve it with the prospector, we still gain that resource. It is now added to our resource pool. We can assign it, and we got 100 gold for doing so.
And that's an important resource right now because that's going to speed up our culture production, which is going to get us to natural history before those other players. If we're having to go for that legacy path, the faster you get to natural history, the sort of better jump start you have in that game.
Yeah. I think, however, we're ready to move on to another save.
Yeah, you want to hop into save 2?
Sounds
No,
great.
Let's do it.
I
But
wanted to see the
before
cannon
that,
fire
we
off.
actually have another first look for
Bruh.
you guys. So here is that one for Ben Franklin.
Oh, Ben Franklin reveal. Big Ben Franklin. BBF rolling through.
Strategy is not idle amusement.
From humble printer to founding father, Benjamin Franklin made everlasting contributions to science and revolutionary U.S. politics.
Oh, they did fire the cannon? I thought it
Leaders
kept
who
firing,
follow
though. I thought they said there was
Franklin's tireless work ethic
like
will
continuous
find a friend, so long
animation
as
for
your
that.
Politics align.
I didn't see it fire more than once.
Franklin's curious and industrious nature offers incredible bonuses towards science and
Oh, they were reloading? Oh,
and
okay.
his reputation as a socialite extends to Franklin's outgoing diplomatic practice. Juggle friendly
Okay,
conversations.
Ben Franklin seems really fun to play. Diplomatic
Consider
and science?
Franklin
That's cool.
With America in the modern age for wild resource
Oh, damn, he's doing
So long
the
as
stanky
you
leg.
find them first. Or choose a different path all your own. But whatever you build, remember to build something you believe in.
Big Benny F. All right, I think I want to play as Ben Franklin. He seems like a lot of fun.
So that was our second first look at the stream for Benjamin Franklin. I know we've teased him, but that was our first time kind of showing off some of the cool abilities, and we're going to show it off in gameplay too. But let me just first ask why.
I like how they show the
Well, we are really going on
each of
East
these
Coast
leaders or
tour,
whatever.
This year, we have the local hero for the sort of Baltimore, Maryland region we showed before. We're going up the road just a little ways to Philadelphia, and there is nobody more beloved in the city of Philadelphia than Benjamin Franklin. So if you look at his accomplishments, it's just amazing. He was a diplomat. He was a politician who was in the Continental Congress. He was an inventor. He was a scientist. He was the first postmaster general of the United States. The
That's
list
true.
goes on
Bro,
and
the
on
guy
and
was a
on.
postmaster
The cool
general.
fact
That's like the highest rank in the
I
military,
just
dude.
picked up reading about him a little bit last night is that really shows his diplomatic impact is he's the only person to have signed probably the 4 most important documents that were part of the founding of America.
Magna
So he
Carta.
signed the Declaration of Independence. He signed the treaty with
Versailles.
France that brought them into the war. He signed the Treaty of Paris that ended the war and where Britain accepted American independence. And then he signed the U.S. Constitution.
And he signed
was
on
the
my lease
oldest
for my
member of the
Honda.
delegation still at the U.S. Constitution. So he was just
He
had
has lived 10 lives.
he lived 10 lives, had his hand in everything. I mean, we've had great leaders of America before. We've had Jefferson, we've had Washington. But you can put a very good argument together that Franklin had as much of an impact as any one of them. So now he gets to be a leader in Civ. And what's cool is he's so good at 2 different parts of a Civ game. He's great at the diplomacy, but he's great at the science. And we've had him overtuned on the science side of things. The dev team has shake their fist at Ben Franklin like, I was going great in this game, but Ben Franklin's science abilities rolled over me. So we've had to actually pull back some of his abilities a little bit, but we'll let Carl dive
Well, they had
in and
to
show us
nerf
exactly
Benny Boy.
what the cool abilities we have associated with him are.
So Ben Franklin has the first American, which is sort of the title that he's referred to as, and he gets science on production buildings, and then he builds production buildings faster. So you really want to pump out as many production buildings as possible with Ben Franklin, and then that equals science. So by doing something,
what do you guys think of the characters? Do they look better than 6?
And then he also has really unique interactions with the diplomacy system, which we'll show off here in a moment.
I don't feel like they look.
He gets science
as cartoony, do they?
Not sanctions.
Are they
just
better?
Endeavors, and not espionage. That he has started himself.
I feel like they look
or
good.
That he has chosen to support, and recall that it costs influence in order to support somebody else's endeavor that they propose to you. But if he does that, he gets science from doing so. And then he can also have 2 endeavors of the same type active at a time.
How about to see a cannon
Normally,
again?
you can only have 1. So if I were to do, let's just go ahead and dive right into that. So we're very friendly with Ashoka here. So we're going to do an endeavor with them. And
yeah, these character portraits look good, or models.
we already
yeah,
have some active. That's why. So we have a research collaboration up right now. So if we switch over to Confucius, we can create another one. So normally you could only have one of these up at a single time. Now, if Confucius were to propose an endeavor with us, we can have that same type active with somebody else. We're able to have them available because we've opted into somebody else's, and we can have one of our own. But Ben Franklin can have 2 of the same that he has proposed to other players. So by selecting this here, we get that as well.
And unlike our last live stream, we are much friendlier with Confucius this time.
Yes.
We are, but one thing we didn't really talk about earlier is we talked a little bit about how the tech tree is set up. We touched on the Civic Tree and started diving into the beginning of it with the Natural History Civic, but there's a really important Civic early in that tree that we might want to look at right now because it's going to set the stage for everything we're talking about in this save. And that's the political theory Civic. You can see everything channels into it. You've got to go through that political theory Civic. And once you have finished it, it's going to unlock 3 culture branch trees. They're called the ideology trees. It's a democracy tree, a fascism tree, and a communism tree. So every leader at some point will get through political theory, and then they will choose one of those trees to start researching. As soon as you put 1 turn of research into those trees, you have locked into that ideology. And that's going to be, you know, the political thinking, the block that you are following for the rest of the game. In our current game, our good friend Ashoka has chosen democracy just like we have. We've already finished democracy. We're working on liberalism, or can work on liberalism here soon. But the other leaders in this game, only one of them has picked an ideology. That's Xerxes. And
pal Xerxes.
Yeah, Xerxes is a communist right now, and as American Democrat, you know, we're going to question that at this point in time in history, and so we're going to go and figure out what we need to do to combat Xerxes in just a few moments here.
Yeah, and we will show that off, but quick question from Great Knight J. How does the ideology democracy differ from governments?
So we have had our research team who has a bunch of historians on board sort of talk about the fact that you know, governments and democracies can be kind of looked at in 2 different ways, and we have actually split apart democracy from a government type this time. Now the government types, do you want to show which government we chose here? We chose authoritarianism in the previous save. We're in a bureaucratic monarchy here. This is another one of the choices. So, you know, a bureaucratic monarchy could be following democratic ideology. It could be following a fascist one. You know, these different governments can be linked to the different ideologies.
True.
They're not
that's happened before,
like there had been in some of our previous games.
Yeah.
Got it.
So let's go ahead and start taking a look at our map here. We can see that we have a bunch of different city names from across several cultures. You want to talk about what got us to this point?
The music's pretty in the background.
This is a different save game. It's not the one that we were playing before I was talking about, starting as Egypt. We have chosen sort of more of a traditional Western civilization path to America. This game was played by Sean Wilson, who everyone's been seeing on our shorts, and he set it up that we're going to go with the Greek to Norman to American pathway through history, following that with Ben Franklin. So you can see Athens is on a lake here. It's a huge city with all sorts of world wonders established for it. And you can see that there's an Acropolis from our Greek heritage, which is their unique quarter where we put two buildings together. Just 2 tiles
That's
west
cool.
of that, we have the dungeon unique quarter from the Normans, which is
Weird.
Amari and Bailey combined together. I love the moat that goes around.
I love
it.
that too.
It's
I want a
that's
3D model
really
of that.
cool.
That's pretty,
Unique
man.
quarter. But we've got all these.
I wanna
world
paint
wonders
little
sprinkled around
models
here
like
too.
that.
We've got the Colosseum. We've got the Oracle. It's the pyramids are
Such
in
a
the
grandpa
background.
already,
it's just
Chet.
all right here in Athens. That's not where we've kept our capital. Sean moved it to the east, further out towards the ocean to get ready
Hey, I
for
see
the
the
Exploration
railroads.
Age. So the city of Rouen is here at the where the river spills
I
out.
see the
into ocean.
railroads.
And that was where his Norman capital was. All sorts of great tiles there. We'll see in a second that he's got a lot of specialists down on those tiles because he was going for the Enlightenment victory path there. A few more wonders. We can see Angkor Wat. We can see yet another Mahdi and Bailey complex.
Oh, there's an airport right
Sean's
there.
done some great work here in setting up some amazing cities. The other thing I like to point out
But it's military.
is how diverse our city name set has become. So we have the Greek city names, we have some Norman city names. If Carl goes to the southwest, you can see some of the brand new cities that we
Philadelphia.
have established as America. And so you can see this sort of multicultural, layered identity that has built up over the ages, and that's what we're getting. It's very unique to our playthrough. It's not the same as like everyone's America playthrough. Doesn't look the same with the same set of cities. And I think it's really reflective of what you see in the United States right now in our day and age. We have a lot of English city names in the northeast of our country, but if you go to the Mississippi River area, there are French city names, New Orleans, St. Louis. If you go out to the southwest, there are Spanish city names with Los Angeles, San Francisco. There are Native American city names. Chicago is a Native American city name. It's one of the 3 largest cities in the U.S. So,
A wise man once said history is built in layers. So I think that is really evident here.
so I love
He
when
said that.
shows through in our game, and that's what we're seeing just with the city names.
It's awesome.
Speaking of things in layers, let's go ahead and choose production for our capital here. So we have a bunch of buildings to choose from, but a few of them really have very high yields, and that's because we're seeing specialist yields also reflected here. This is the highest projected yield that building can get. And we're going to build a cannery, which has a massive 21 food here.
Wow.
And that would
Canneries
be
like to be like where the fishing boats are coming
Right.
in,
Yeah.
and
Near the water.
So it likes to be near water. A lot of buildings like to be near water. We should remind players that there pretty much are 3 main types of adjacency bonuses in Civ 7. One of them is for coast and navigable river tiles.
Probably one
you see that
mountains.
especially with the commercial buildings. But you'll also see it with some buildings like the cannery. We have adjacencies for being next to resources, which is especially useful for scientific discovery in
Right.
Civ 7. And then we have adjacencies for being next to mountains and natural wonders. So this is a case where
that makes sense.
we have had those 4 water tiles next to this one tile for 3 ages now.
Yeah.
We've really invested in it, and we've been putting as many specialists as we can on that tile.
And a question from Chad: are you able to destroy, move your own districts in Civ 7?
You overbuild.
yes.
So you take buildings that are obsolete from previous ages and you build the newest, latest, and greatest buildings on top. So to some extent you are moving things around. And here
We could put it somewhere else.
the cannery is giving us food out of this tile.
We're
Whereas before we're replacing the guild hall, that was giving us gold from the tile.
right.
So we were moving like what types of yields we're getting and so forth, but we're not actually picking buildings up and moving them.
And we are getting some yield from the guild hall still. It's a minimal amount. It has been reduced, but we are still getting something there. And we could choose to put the cannery on a different tile, and that would create a brand new urban district. So in a way, you can move them like that and continue to keep some of your previous buildings. But Obviously, the
Those
21,
yields, though.
yeah, the yields are much better because of the specialists, and the specialists are not helping the guild hall at all because its adjacency bonuses are gone. So by replacing the guild hall,
I do like how they show the
yield benefits.
adjacency bonuses there and then tell you
Casbah
how.
across the river.
Like northeast.
Which
That's
is
cool.
not part of a Greek, Norman, American heritage, but remember when you can pick up city-state allies.
Yeah, I want to see the trains.
they
I want
might
to see the
have
trains
that type
going.
of unique improvement available to us, so that's what Sean's done to have a southern part. of the
Civ
city
has always had hex
is
building up.
rocking the Casbah here.
So let's go ahead and place this cannery down.
I think it'd be weird
That's
if
given us a narrative
Civ went away
choice,
from
similar to what
hexagon
happened
building.
in our previous save.
Civ 8,
This one is a little bit more immediate, though. So we
only
can,
squares.
Take the old guild hall down to its foundations. We stumble across an older market. So this is looking back all the way to antiquity.
Right, so the market is the big economic building, the first one you encounter in antiquity. Sean was placing down the market in a very smart location with all those water bonuses. So he put it down there.
Look at how built up that
Somewhere
coast
in
is,
the
though.
Renaissance period,
Drop
the
a nuke.
people here said this market's not really serving us. We now have guilds, and guilds are where the economic power of our nation is coming forth. And so we're going to replace this older market with a guild hall. And so the market was overbuilt, and now it's very cool. Here in the modern age, we're taking out the guild hall, getting ready for the cannery, and lo and behold, our archaeologists have found something. And so we're going to go ahead and take the artifacts that are coming from sort of the previous history of the tile, and that's going to help us on our cultural legacy path.
So the next thing we have here is command units. We've got a couple of units right in the middle of our empire ready to go. We're going to move them over to a different city through one of our modern features, railroads. Which I know everyone's been very excited to see.
Oh,
Let's
damn.
talk about how industrialization.
Here we go. This is what I really want to see.
So the first thing that you
Production
get to
industrialization.
is the railroad, and you get to place down rail stations.
Rail.
And once you have a city with rail stations, then it becomes eligible for the factories that we were talking about earlier. So Carl's going to demonstrate the power of railroads here in a minute.
Yep.
But we'll also very soon get into the power of factories and showing exactly how that works.
Yes. So here we have a rail station, and this is the core building that railroads are centered around. So a rail station is a full hex building. This is a new thing for the modern age, and that's because it is a very important tile. We really want the player to be able to find it easily and focus on it, and there's also a lot of things that are happening on that tile, so it's very important. So this is the only building that can go onto this tile. You can't pair it with another building like we see in other places. But once you have built a rail station, that is only half of the equation. You then have to build a second rail station. You have to have a destination and as well as a start point. Once you have done that, and you have your two rail stations up, it creates a rail connection between the two. Any route, so a road between the two settlements, because it can be a town as well as a city, are instantly upgraded to rail. We can see that there is a road here through this beautiful mountain path.
That is
It's
beautiful.
absolutely gorgeous.
That's pretty.
That means that even though
That's
there's a
so
rail
cool.
station here, whatever this is going to does not have a rail station. It has not been upgraded. So that is a foreign settlement. If they were to build a rail station, this would be upgraded. But until that happens, that stays a road. But we can see that we have rails in our other settlements, beautiful network of rails running through all of
A
our
rail
farmland here,
roundabout?
and that is connecting all
the
of our
hell?
settlements together, allowing us to then transport.
They built a roundabout.
units. So we can zoom back in, and we have a couple of our unique units. This is the American Marine. which is
Hell
sitting
yeah,
in
brother.
this boat.
Goddamn right.
It's an amphibious unit. They can be in water as well as on
Coming in
land.
those water buffaloes,
And
brother.
it
Hell
has
yeah.
a unique action called Move by Rail.
But not unique action. It's a action.
You can
Contextual,
mobilize your
contextual
troops
actually,
via rail.
Because
That's
it's adjacent to
awesome.
this rail station. So any unit that is on the rail station or adjacent to the rail station gets this
Oh.
Move by Rail option.
You can mobilize
And if I
with
click
rail.
it,
That's awesome.
Zoom out. We can see that there are other rail stations that we can
that's cool.
teleport to. This instantly moves the unit from that settlement to the one that we are going to. And we want to move these over here to Chicago. And if we click that tile, it instantly teleports the unit traveling by rail across our continent.
There is
Whoa.
a 20 tile, I believe it is, limit to the
I see.
rail transfer in this particular age. So it's not. People wonder, can I do all the way across the map? You might have to do across the map in a couple different
You
stages.
might have to chain a few together,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, do it over a couple turns.
And sort of while we're moving these units over, we've had a few people in chat asking about
That's cool. I
tutorials,
like that a
guides.
lot.
I know it can seem like there's a lot to take in with all the different mechanics that come in. And I can answer at least part of that. We do have some guides planned. We're working really closely to create some starter guides that are going to help new players to the game and even some returning players get used to some of the new things coming to 7. Is there anything else you guys want to add on top of that?
So we have worked harder on our tutorial system in-game than we ever have in a previous title. We sort of have brushed past it entirely in the live streams because we sort of like to explain things ourselves and don't want people to have to read through the text that
Right.
pops up. But the tutorial system that has been put into Civ 7 is entirely contextual to your gameplay. So it's not like you have to read
I love
through
that
these
rail
screens
thing.
to get to the next turn. It's play the game, and our system will kind of listen to what's happening in your game and pop up dialogues to explain what you need to know at just the right time. The other thing that I play with all the time, and we do have on during this stream, is there are 4 advisors that help the player through the game, and those advisors are always looking at your game sort of in the background as well and making sure you're not making a big mistake or misstep. So we have a system called the Advisor Warning System, and every time you might be getting into trouble with something, your advisor will kind of knock on your window and say, wait a second, don't forget to take this into account. So for instance, in your antiquity game, the first time you go to war, you might not remember to take your influence and spend it to add to your war support to keep you from war weariness.
We have a lot of influence right now, so that'll probably be coming soon.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so your advisors
Almost
happy to
2,000,
pop
that's
up and
crazy.
say, don't forget to put your influence into war support, otherwise your people
That's
are not going to want to
crazy.
fight this war for long.
Right. And speaking of war, us and Xerxes right now are not looking great.
We are not, and that's actually why I've been moving these units over here to Chicago, because we're going to get ready to declare war on Xerxes since he is an opposing ideology. So in a moment we'll go ahead and declare that war. I did also just use a prospector unit to acquire a factory resource, and we now have resource assignments available, so let's go ahead and jump in to take a look at factory resources.
Okay, and I think it was a town down
Right here.
Yep, where the quinine resource was acquired. Resources always look to see whether or not they can be used by the local town. If they can, when you acquire them, just get instantly slotted in. If they can't be used locally, then they go over to the left-hand side of this screen where you have to decide where to allocate it. But that one was available to be slotted in immediately, so it did so automatically. And we can see that we have the factory symbol to the right of it, so that one is being processed. Down here in Athens, we have a factory that's really humming. It is processing clay, or the special kaolin clay that's used for porcelain making. And we have 4 copies of that there.
Yeah.
So we are pumping that out. Each copy, it says, is giving us 3% additional culture. So that factory as a whole is giving us a 12% boost to our culture empire-wide, which
That's
is
pretty
certainly
big.
very, very useful. The other factory resources, we can mouse over them, and you can see that fish help the growth rate of your of all your settlements, and citrus is a production bonus towards naval units, sort of reflecting how citrus has been used to fight off scurvy for sailors for a long time. So those are some examples of the factory resources, and don't forget that those factory resources, now that we have them slotted into play, they're helping us with that Railroad Tycoon legacy path, so we're getting points towards finishing that legacy path.
It's also worth noting, we've got this bonus towards naval units, but when you do build a rail station and connect a city by rail, it also gives that settlement a 10% boost in training units. So there's an additional immediate yield effect. Of course, the building itself has yield, but you get 10% towards building units, and some of our other resources are also contingent on having a rail connection. So like furs, for example, you get additional happiness if the city has a
Fur.
rail station. If it does not, it's half.
Fur.
And does America have a particular bonus to resources? Is there something about the America Civ?
So they get gold every single time they improve a resource. So by using the prospector here, I was able to get gold for doing that. And then the prospector itself lets you claim resources outside of the normal range. So this resource here was more than 3 tiles away from both settlements. It was halfway between them. So I was able to pick that up.
Oh,
even though
that's cool.
Normally I wouldn't, and with any other Civ, I would not be able to grab that.
That's a really good question, though, Sarah, because we have not talked about the unique quarter for America.
Oh.
And we
Yeah.
almost
Every
showed it
civilization
off,
gets their
but
own
we
quarter.
kind of failed to dive deep into it. But it was sitting right next to that first rail station that Carl was
So
showing
right
us.
here
That's what I was
is
looking
the
at.
industrial park, and America gets a rail yard and steel mill, unique buildings that, when combined together, make this industrial park. This is not does not create railroads on its own. You do still have to have that rail station, but it sort of ties into that and gets some really amazing production bonuses when you
Look at the yields there, Charles.
build. Yeah, it's huge.
They're ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Well, we do have a lot of specialists on this tile as well. So we're getting a lot of science and a lot of culture from our specialists, and then those are boosting the production bonuses that the industrial park is giving us. So
We should
really
remind
amazing
people
bonuses here.
that there are a lot of wonders that Sean has sprinkled around these cities for us, and wonders are also great ways to accelerate your adjacency bonuses. So the yields in general are super, super strong. We may actually even want to turn on yields and look at them.
Let's do that. Thank you for the reminder. I'm going to skip turn there.
Oh, welcome to all the new followers,
so if we turn
guys.
on our yields, we can see, let me zoom in on the city here, we can see
Hope
that-
you're
that
enjoying.
the yields on each
I'm
of
learning
these
a lot.
tiles-
I'm
this doesn't
taking
even have
notes on the
the,
side of things that's going
cannery
on.
finish. That's going to go
Especially
up by
that
21
US
here in a
unique building.
minute.
Let me add that to
But
my
the
other
yields on all
notes.
these tiles are really, really high. This is within our city, and we do have specialists on these tiles, so that's what's boosting that there. But even out here in our countryside, all of our tile improvements have some really, really high yields. And this just goes to show that you could do some pretty awesome gameplay with the terrain and the yield
Noted.
stacks. That we
Civ is
need
your
to
favorite franchise of all
Kudos
time.
to our
Good to
game
hear.
balancing team, because these numbers kind of have escalated in a crazy fashion.
Yes.
And some of our designers, Tim
I love
Fleming,
seeing
has
the,
been
pyramid over
lead
there.
on that pacing effort. And so he definitely had some tricky problems to work through to try to get the pacing right. But we have everything playing out at the a pace that is appropriate for what we wanted to do, and so we're super happy about all that.
I know that we have gone into yields. We've shown a little bit of the ships in the water too. But before we move on from railroads, I have 2 quick questions on it. One from Habo: can enemies use your rails?
So
That's a good
if
question.
you have open borders, you should be able to teleport to their rail stations, I believe.
I'm not sure about that. I don't think that works.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking
but
it does. Like, if
if
you're
you
allied-
capture those cities,
You certainly can. Yes,
then
absolutely.
it becomes your city.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So it's not like, I mean, in the real world, there were things like the Soviet Union used a different gauge of railroad than Western Europe did. And so, when you marched into Russia, you couldn't use the rail lines and things like that. So they're not those types of problems in our game. If you capture cities, you can build your rail
railroads
network.
are your own,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes.
And then the other question I have from Aocash: does building railroads benefit trade, or is it just for military transport?
It benefits trade in that if you look at the whole trade resource factory system as one system, you have to have railroad connections back to your capital to be able to build a factory. You have to have a factory in place in order to take those factory resources and place them in the slots and then start getting the benefits of it. So it's an integral part of your sort of internal network that fosters trade and resources and all the whole railroad tycoon victory path.
And then, as we saw, the
Railroad-
rail stations
Railroad
also,
Tycoon
required
victory.
to get the most out of certain resources, that they effectively double the amount of yield that they give in a settlement with a rail station, which is really, really significant. And while that's not directly tied to the rail connection from one city to another, having the rail station there multiple times will, by default, create that rail network.
So that's a victory
So I think
condition.
we're ready to go back up here. I jumped.
I got to go for that one,
and
man.
up
Railroad,
here. We
railroad,
can see we
ultimate
have some
railroad
really cool
victory.
ships and an
Oh,
aircraft
hi
carrier. So
there.
let's talk about naval and flight in the modern age.
What are you going to do with those cool ships and aircraft
Well,
carriers?
like we
Aaron?
said, over in
That's a
Chicago,
big
we're
ol'-
prepping to declare war here, and I think we're
That's
just
a big
about
ol'
ready to do
battleship.
so. But before we
Is that the
actually declare
Missouri?
war, I want to talk about the aircraft carrier, and over here we have an air base of sorts. So we've hinted that there is a third type of commander in the modern age, and that is
An
the
admiral?
squadron commander. So
Oh.
here is a squadron commander, and the squadron commander is actually sort of divided up into two categories. There is a land version.
Look at those
which
big
is
O ships,
squadron
man.
commander. It must be on land. It always must be on land. You can pack it into into a fleet commander and move it around, but you do have to base it on land. If you want something in the water, it has to be an aircraft carrier, which is a distinct type from the squadron commander. It's not an embarked squadron commander. This is a naval unit. It cannot go up on land at all, but it is still a squadron commander of its own type.
Can we like zoom in on the carrier too? It's
Absolutely.
Such a cool unit.
Yeah, so here we go. This is the aircraft carrier. And then I'll bring us over here and we'll take
Looks
a look
like a
at this
cruiser
airbase
and a
as well.
battleship.
And remember that the American unique military unit was the Marine that we
Yes.
showed on land before.
They have an airfield there, but with trees in the way.
Yeah, so it does
with the
not
embark.
have a separate embarked unit asset like a lot of our units do. It just is the duck boat that goes into the water. I think it gets this awning in the back to help keep out the ocean spray. But
I've never
yeah,
played
this
Civ
just
games.
the
Is it
same
like
unit that just
AoE?
goes in water, and when we attack
Kind
this city
of.
up here, we'll see
Like,
when it pops out.
it
just
has to
drive
do
right
with
up onto the land.
ancient
It's very cool.
civilizations and
Should we test
empires,
that?
yes,
Yeah, let's go
but
ahead and
that's
declare
about as
war.
far as it.
So we're ready
Goes
to declare
with
war.
that.
We're
So
already
We have
hostile.
a -90 relationship.
But there's
You
gathering
can
of
see that
resources,
Xerxes
building of
up on the
units,
second
declaring of
line
war,
there,
Right.
where
which
we
I guess
have
is the thing.
The red 90 in the
Woof.
heart.
Right here.
So yeah, his relationship with us has soured.
It has. So because we are already hostile, we get the option for a formal war. If we were higher relationship, it would be a surprise war, which causes free war support for them. Here, because it's a formal war, he does not get bonus war support. We are getting a bonus war support from our military attributes, which we have unlocked. We'll go ahead and declare this.
So a question from chat. I know there's a lot of
Yeah, Civ is a
interest
turn-based
in how
game.
AI
AoE is an
taking
RTS,
advantage
yep.
of some of these mechanics too. Smegmeister asks, will the AI actually build and use airplanes in Civ 7?
Yes.
So absolutely. One thing that the AI doesn't have to worry about quite as much as in previous titles is it doesn't have to like build up the tech tree basis quite as much to going into modern. Everyone starts with at the bottom of the tree with obviously some boosts from the legacy paths and scientific attributes you've earned, but it doesn't have as far to get into the aircraft research as maybe it did in previous games. So people will see AI use of aircraft, absolutely.
I know, I almost wish we could have seen that first save you had and getting absolutely destroyed by the
It wasn't
AI.
that much fun.
Right, maybe not for the one
It was a
playing.
nice redemption arc for me,
Yes,
but
yeah. Of course.
So I'm dumping a bunch of our unspent influence into war support. So we are getting a +7 support now, which will give us big combat strength bonuses, 7 combat strength over Xerxes, and cause him happiness penalties, which then results in yield penalties in his settlements.
Now he may have a bank of.
He may be
influence
spending some here
that
in a
he'll
moment,
spend it,
yeah, when it gets to his turn. I am saving some of it. We've got 400 or so influence left, and that's to be able to respond to other events that pop up if somebody proposes an endeavor we want to support or a sanction we want to reject.
You also find that if Xerxes has an ally somewhere else in the game, it's often a case where one war can have a chain effect and lead to a couple other people declaring war. So it's always good to sort of be cautious with spending all your influence at once.
So we're going to start by moving in our fleet commander, who's packed.
The 414 point whatever thing, I think was the influence that he
Let's talk a little
has.
bit about those before we get back to our
It's
area.
the globe in
Talk
the upper
about
left
that.
corner,
What Carl
414.
just did was the first move was with the naval commander
Yes.
with the units still packed. They went one tile to the northwest. Then he was ready to get them into battle formation, so he immediately unpacked. And just like on land, the naval units work the same way. He's got them all spread out. And because the naval commander has the right promotion, they can immediately move and attack.
Yep, this one right here. allows us to move immediately after unpacking, so those units are already ready to go. So what we have here are two different types of naval units. We have a battleship, mouse over that, battleship, and we have a destroyer. These are a heavy naval unit and a light naval unit. In Modern, we start introducing additional types, classes
Two big
of
old battleships
light
there.
and heavy. Heavy units are bigger, cost more, and have more combat strength.
Is that a supply
light
ship?
Units are faster, smaller, lower combat strength, lower production cost.
And we do have a really cool dev diary actually coming out tomorrow that's going to dive into combat, a lot of the mechanics that we're seeing here. So there's a lot more to explain there too.
And Carl, we keep having this fighter plane come through our
We
screen,
do.
and what's that all about?
So this is on the aircraft carrier. This is a fighter who's on patrol. If we select our aircraft carrier, we can see that the units are packed into it. And air units are always packed into a commander. When you have a squadron commander, or when you have an aircraft, it is either in a squadron commander or in the aerodrome itself, which has a sort of commander-esque ability to it. And they can
I haven't
just
seen much
deploy
on
out of
religion
that.
this
But when you have a
this
fighter
stream
unit
yet.
in that location, and we have one up here in our squadron commander airbase as well, it is immediately on patrol. That is an anti-air unit. So if other aircraft come into range, it will intercept them, which is
So
traditional
other
for Civ.
players can see, oh, he has fighters up.
Right. Then we also have some bombers here, which are really good at attacking cities, which we're going to use here in just a moment. And then we have another aircraft type, which is new to Civilization 7. We have ground attack aircraft, in this case, a dive bomber. So this unit is really good at attacking other units.
I'm really excited about those.
Absolutely. It's the bomber we wanted to specialize in a more of an anti-city role, anti-defense role, particularly because capturing cities now, really big, well-defended cities means
Right.
lots of districts that you have to attack.
Yep.
So the bomber's really good at doing that.
True.
Where the dive bomber, the ground attack aircraft, is particularly adept at attacking other units. So we'll go ahead and select that.
And while you do that, I do have an aircraft question from Buffalo Error. He says, does it mean that we can deploy aircraft on missions as in previous games?
You cannot deploy them out onto the map to do a patrol. They patrol where they are. So if you have a squadron commander or an aerodrome or an aircraft carrier, they patrol that location. You are able to move those units around. So there we have our attack.
Poor scout.
Poor scout. So we can rebase this squadron commander someplace else. So I can take this squadron commander and I can say, this is the rebase action. There are no locations for me to currently rebase it to. Once it goes back to a location, I can then deploy it back out into the map. But if we had an eligible location, we could move it around and then redeploy the squadron
They have to be,
commander.
I believe, on flat terrain
in
without
friendly territory.
vegetation.
Yep.
Is Haran from Dying Light?
So,
It's a good
there are
question.
rules for where they can go, but once they're deployed, that unit will patrol that area. So you deploy the squadron commander and create an air base rather than deploying the aircraft itself.
So we just looked at the fleet commander promotions, but the squadron commanders, they have promotions as well, right?
They do, yes. So the squadron commander has a promotion tree that's a little bit smaller with fewer promotions on each tree, and that's because it's modern age only. So each commander has a little bit less that it has to worry about because it's around for less time, just one age in this squadron commander case. So we have dogfighting, which is all about anti-air, raids, which is about your bombers and ground attackers, logistics, which is standard for some of the other commanders, a lot of movement-based promotions there. And then airlift operations is really, really cool. It unlocks the ability for land units, infantry, to pack into this commander, and then you can paradrop
Oh
them out
my
onto the
God,
map.
yes.
And then
Paradrop.
eventually you get the same thing for
Cool.
cavalry units, so you can deploy your tanks out onto the map. And then in the middle here we have a cargo drop that allows you to do a area heal at range. So this is pretty amazing and can really turn the tide of a battle. So squadron commanders, super
That
important.
is cool.
You want to have
Yeah,
them,
this will be on consoles.
and do air combat with them so you can get these promotions and then use that to most
Commendation
efficiency.
points. I don't know if we've explained exactly how they work in any of the streams, but
Right.
how do you get to the commendation points down at the bottom?
So to get a commendation, you have to reach the bottom of a promotion tree. So if I were to unlock this promotion, and this promotion, I would get a commendation point that I can then spend on these at the bottom. I don't have to get every promotion in a tree, I can if I want to, but to get a commendation point, you just have to reach the bottom of a tree. And then I get that commendation point, and I can spend it on any of these commendations here.
But I'd have to
Commendation
get to the bottom
points.
of the second tree
In order to get
the
an
second
additional commendation. Yep, exactly. Now, this is a little bit different than our aircraft carrier because aircraft carriers do not have airlift operations. It actually has a contextually different promotion tree, which we will look at here in just a moment after we start our bombing on this city. We're going to go ahead and do a carpet bomb, which is a
carpet
order to
bombing?
command all bombers in this aircraft carrier to attack the city.
No way. No way.
27 damage on the first run.
All the planes kind of fade out.
53 on
Aw.
the second
Wow,
one.
it's powerful.
Yes, it is.
And I love that because in
I
so
wish I
many
could
of
see
our
them
previous
go
games,
to and from the
try to
carrier.
Queue up 2 or 3 bomber attacks in a row was click, 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 and now Carl just did it with 1 click. And if he'd had 4 bombers there, they would have all 4 gone.
All
in.
gone, yep.
Between that and the unpacking, the commanders are a really nice addition to the game.
They're super fun, and they make things more streamlined. You know, it's you spend more time making the decisions and playing the game and not worrying about where you're clicking.
Right.
So
I wonder if
destroy
it-
the district defenses and there's no
I wonder if we
defending
didn't really
units, so I
see
don't
much
actually
there
have
because we didn't have a
target
good
to
line of
attack
sight
with
on
our
it.
naval unit here. But if they move something up, then we'll do some naval combat as well.
A question from chat, can we use fighters to gain visibility over large parts of the ocean, or will we have to use naval units if we want visibility?
Aircraft by themselves have a farther line of sight because they're elevated. So they do give you quite a bit of visibility distance, and you can attack something that's in range that's still like very far away. So like I don't know that the fighter will have the range here. Bombers I think have a longer one. Yeah, so I can attack all the way up here.
Wow.
I don't have direct visibility on this tile, but it's within range. So I can, let's go ahead and we'll just attack here. Yep.
And how's the other front of our two-front war looking?
Yeah, let's go ahead and attack over from Chicago.
This one's not looking good for Xerxes. I mean, the other one wasn't either, but
We might have had a bad relationship, but I think we caught him by surprise, perhaps.
getting your Marines down into the Navigable River.
Oh, boy, we got Shermans, brother.
Another question from chat, are there specific bonuses to heavy or light units, and can you specialize?
So heavy units have higher combat strength, slower movement, higher production cost. Light units have lower production cost, lower combat strength, but additional movement. There are only certain places where this appears. Naval is the primary example of that. So if you want a fast, nimble, cheap naval fleet, you want to go light.
And he moved most of these units here via the railroad. That was cool.
Longer production times and slower movement, then battleships are far and away the right ship for you.
But I don't think I think to answer that specific question, I don't think there's like an ability that's just with this particular leader,
Right.
their light units
Right.
are better. We this late in the game is when we felt the real need to split it out into those separate troop lines. We don't have that sort of throughout the rest of the game, so we haven't really
We wanted to
explored
focus
that.
on it more with the World War period.
Right.
We did earn a promotion on our aircraft carrier, so now we can take a look at that alternative promotion tree, which is carrier operations. This makes the carrier more powerful and is different from the airdrop one. We can't pack land units into the aircraft carrier.
So you might be wondering also, like, what happens to my air units if I just build them back home and I'm trying to build up my collection of air units and then I'm going to get a carrier online and deploy them there. So we do, in this save back near our capital city, have a aerodrome.
Oh.
And Carl's going to bring that up in a second.
Let me teleport this unit over.
Okay.
So it unselects. And that was worth noting, that was an entirely packed commander that I moved with the move by rail.
2 Marines and 2 artillery units, it
I
looked like.
believe it's an AT gun range unit and an artillery.
Yeah, all moved
That railroad is
up
cool.
to 20 hexes.
Yeah.
That was
You
close
can
to
build
20.
them in
It
one
was about
spot,
15 hexes.
ship them to the other, then put them onto a
all with
boat.
That one operation by rail, yeah. So
You can move a whole
combined
army within a
commanders with
couple of
rail
turns.
Units, some of our fans
A
who
long
love
distance.
railroads, and I know Ursa Ryan's out there.
I hope he's watching.
I'm,
right
better
now.
I'm watching too,
better
man.
be
I'm
paying
loving
attention
railroads, dude.
because we showed a
I'm
lot
loving
of
the
rail
railroads.
movement there.
I
Just
love the railroads.
One or two clicks.
So here's our aerodrome.
Okay, so if we click on that, we can see that to some extent it is also set up like the Squadron Commander was.
It even
where
has promotions.
It has slots.
It just is missing that extra contextual tree, which we want to encourage you to build squadron commanders and deploy them. So this is a little bit of a weaker version, but it's not completely...
It's built into this full tile building, though. It's
This
just like the
can't move.
rail station we were talking about before. It's a full tile building
Yep.
in the modern age, built into your city. That's where you're going to be producing your aircraft
That lake
and
is
then
pretty.
sending them off to wherever you need to send them off. But in this particular case, it looks like we also have a fighter patrolling, making
do.
sure our capital is safe.
And here we can see some beautiful railroad gates as the railroad enters our city.
Yeah, that is the level of detail as you zoom in is
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah.
Should we progress a couple of turns and kind of see?
Yeah, we want to go ahead and try to take this.
We also want to tell you what the point of this attack on Xerxes is, so we'll need to talk about our military legacy path here in a second as well.
Military legacy path.
We have so many planes to use.
Yeah, maybe Carl, we could just hop into those legacy paths too and check
Sure.
it out.
So we talked before about how Xerxes is following a different ideology than we are. So let's go to the military legacy path, and we'll see that this is called what we call the ideology legacy path. And you gain points on this legacy path by conquering foreign settlements. They can be ones that, maybe there's been a war where you've lost a couple settlements and you have to take them back. That counts for you. So if you think about the historical World War II, the Allies didn't conquer a lot of things permanently. A lot of it was taking back stuff that they had lost to their opponents. All this type of success in combat helps you in this legacy path, but you get moved further down this
Liberation,
legacy
brother.
path
He means
if you are
liberation.
fighting those wars against your ideological
Those
opponents.
Tanks and stuff
So
look
it's
good. Those
1 point
models of the
for
ships look cool
each
too.
settlement you conquer before you even have an ideology. 2 points if you have an ideology, but you're not fighting one of your ideological opponents. And then 3 points per conquest when you conquer a city against one of your ideological opponents.
Which we are about to do.
Yes, you're about to score a couple of these, I think.
I think so, yeah.
You might get 6 in a hurry here.
Yeah.
And so the 20 points, might seem like it's a hefty thing to do, but
It can
it's
rack up.
achievable. Yep.
Right.
And then while we're here, do we want to look at science?
Yep. So we have a fourth legacy path, and that is in modern age called space race. So Civ has traditionally always had a science victory that was a rocket ship blasting off into space and showing the forward progress and momentum. of
Asserting
humankind,
dominance.
Being able to start thinking about getting out in space and colonizing the stars. And so Civ 7 is no different. We have a number of projects that are all related to flight. And so you'll see there's a transoceanic flight project, which is the first milestone along that path that's mentioned here by the advisor. So since we've already built the aerodrome, we actually could go ahead and start working on that at this point right now. But once you have all 3 of those space race projects completed, then you are eligible to finish this legacy path with a victory. So we'll talk about victories just at the very end here, but we've kind of set up how you get to them in all 4 cases now.
Right. And a question from Grey Knight J, are there multiple ways to approach each victory type? For instance, is the culture victory winnable with means other than archaeology?
So you're going to have to use archaeology to set it up. But one thing that's really important that this question alludes to is it's your progress through all 3 ages that helps you towards these victory types. So at the end of each victory, and we'll just go into it now because it's
why
relevant
not?
to the text. At the end of each of the legacy paths, you unlock the victory. And what we've always thought about is how best does a Civ game end? And we've thought about Civ games throughout the entire history of the franchise, and it's always something really cool, really special, really momentous that you do that triggers the victory, that always feels the best. So whether it was blasting that rocket off into space or winning a military victory by conquering that last capital, something like that always felt good as the way to culminate your victory. And so what our design team has done, and I applaud the folks who worked on this because it was a really cool solution, is we're racking up all these legacy points, but we didn't want it to be just a victory based on a score. We wanted the player to get a chance to feel that great sense of accomplishment. So at the end of every legacy path, you unlock a victory, and a victory is always sort of a special project you have to undertake to get that dramatic moment.
The map looks really pretty
too.
too.
A sudden death victory once you achieve that.
All that grass,
so we're
that
have
beach.
A whole designer diary coming up.
Interesting map though.
Around the
like look at the mini map in the lower left corner.
Go into victories in a lot of detail.
The far left side of the map is like an archipelago.
One good example.
Then there's like a long strand for an island, and then like one solid continent. It's weird.
And you can
World's
start
Fair.
working on building the World's Fair. But how long does that take? It actually, it's a pretty hefty project. It takes a while. But every legacy point that you've earned towards culture in any of the ages is going to speed that up. So if you've been a culture player all along, you're just going to be able to push over that final finish line a little bit faster than the players like just made a last-minute switch into culture.
Right.
And all the legacy paths are set up that way. We looked at the ideology one, and that one you're building Operation Ivy, which is going to get you nuclear capabilities. And we're not going to show nukes right here, but there is the presence of nuclear technology in our game.
Okay,
here.
if they're not going to show
And
nukes here,
Operation Ivy
that
is
means
sort
they're
of the
probably
way
going to have
show
another
that
stream
you
showing
are-
all the victory
that's
conditions.
historically where
Probably one where they build
they
the
evolved from
space
the atomic
center or
weapon
whatever,
in the
and one where they
Manhattan
drop
Project
nukes or
up to
something and have a
thermonuclear.
military victory.
And so that's sort of saying that you're the dominant military power and you've won that victory.
I bet there's going to
And
be
as you
many different
mentioned,
streams.
We are going to have a developer diary on the topic, so we'll be diving into more detail with that. But I do have a question. What happens if the third age finishes before anyone gets a victory condition?
So that is something that we
Sudden
thought about,
death.
something that can happen, and this will actually happen to you. The same type of system kicks in if you are playing a single age game. So for instance, I'm just playing an antiquity game. Then the victories, which we've shown, which are only present here in the modern age, are not available in those single age games, and it's all about who's accumulated the most legacy points. So there's a tracker on the victory panels that we've been showing that shows legacy points accumulated throughout all the ages, and you just will be able to tell who's going to be the winner
Comes
that
down
way.
to the points then, right?
Yeah, so then we do end up going to points, and that's been traditional for Civ games, is that there is points being tallied in the background, and if you run out of time, the time limit situation, the time limit victory was always scored like that in the past.
Right. Carl, catch us up. What's been going on?
I'm capturing cities. So we've already taken 2. So if we take a look at our victory progress, we can see we've made a bunch of points here, just like you were saying.
3 points twice.
Yeah, so we're well on our way to capturing Xerxes.
Now, how big an empire does Xerxes have if we were going to try to take him out?
He has 14 more settlements.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Okay,
He's
so
spread out
that's
quite a
not
bit,
happening.
yeah.
Yes, he is.
That's not happening.
And most of them are on our continent, or does he have them spread out worldwide at this point?
I don't see a lot over here. I don't think he has very many here. It's mostly on this landmass.
Okay.
Well, one more question we have. Are the victories balanced to each other? One problem in Civ 6 is that things like culture would complete way before science victories.
So we like to think they're balanced. We've been spending a lot of time working on the balance,
Yeah.
but we know the way, the Civ community digs in and really attacks problems and finds optimal paths through the game. So, balance is something that we're going to continue to look at throughout the lifespan of Civ 7. It's an area where, we're not going to expect to get it perfectly with all the cool little maneuvers that our fans will come up with, taking into account. So it'll be something that we're working on all the time.
We learn from our community.
The
constantly.
one thing that you'll see about these victories is almost all of them translate into sort of a progress track where you have to get a score. And so it's super easy to balance them just by making a few more score required or a few less. So balanceable, Absolutely. Perfectly balanced? We'll see.
Right. That is fair. Well, I think just given the breadth of Xerxes' empire, perhaps perhaps we can look to the future and say we could get there, but it might take us quite a bit.
It looks like you're having fun.
I am having fun, yeah.
Mandatory fun is being had.
Is there anything else you guys want to touch on, or are we ready to go?
I think we're ready to go.
All right. Well, that was the modern age, and again, just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
We got to show off some cool things with railroads, naval air combat.
Railroad's cool.
There is so much to this age, and we can't wait for you to play it. February 11th is coming up so soon. And again, like I said, you could play even earlier, February 6th, if you pre-order the game. And that's day and date on PC and console, cross-play, cross-save. Really exciting stuff. Don't forget to follow the Civ socials. We're constantly sending through updates there. We have some new things that are coming out with this live stream, including a first look, as you saw, for Ben Franklin and for Harriet Tubman. We have new game guides for them, a new game guide for America, and as we mentioned before, we have that really awesome dev diary coming out tomorrow on combat. Ed and Carl, thank you so much.
Dev diary on combat. Is that going to be a video?
That was awesome. I'm going to play you guys out with our performance last week at the Game Awards. We premiered the main theme of Civilization VII, Live Gloriously, composed by none other than Christopher Tin. Here it is.
What? Oh. No, sure. Oh, okay. All right, couple things. One, they had better do a couple more live streams that showcase a lot more on the combat, because that is really something that you're going to be able to see on screen, like on the map. Like when you, I don't know, when you research rope, or when you do something cultural or start trading, you might not physically see that, but the warfare is interesting to see, like naval landings and stuff like that. So I hope before this thing is, I guess February 6th is the official release date, like when everyone will, like when it's a product that could be available for purchase. We're about a month and a half out, so they better like showcase like scientific victories and cultural victories, and show like what you can build to do those things for a lot of the cultures, and then also showcase military stuff, like, you know, what's going to set this game apart from previous ones, like how they kind of showed a few things, like the railroads moving troops and the squadrons and commanders and things together. That's cool. Like, that's cool, and I want to see more of that. So hopefully they have more streams on that. We are going to have to come back and check out the Exploration Age, which I didn't get a chance to watch, but I do want to see it because it's probably going to be the most important thing before the Modern Age, because that's going to dictate how much territory you get for the modern times. And if you expand during the exploration stage, then yeah, you're going to have a bigger nation. It seems like a better idea to have more territory than less if you're going for any sort of victory. Not always the case, but it just seems like a good idea. Plus, who doesn't want to build more and more and more and expand? So that's good times. Good times indeed. All right, folks, everybody make sure you're subscribed to the channel right now. We on this channel will get a early look at Civ 7. It's already confirmed. Civ 7, you know, I've been to Fraxis Studios. I met Ed and all these other guys, talked to them about the game, and we're looking forward to its release. So make sure, everybody, that you absolutely, you know, enjoy the channel and follow, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and, you know, all that good stuff. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I hope they do a section for all the victories. Like I want to make sure we make sure we see all that stuff. So hopefully it's something we'll see in the future. I don't know. I mean, I want to see more for this game for sure. Let's see. And then make sure we do that too. All right, cool. All right, yeah, we're going to see a lot more of this game in the future. I want to see more science victories, more cultural victories, more combat. I want to see more of these things beforehand. Yeah, before the release on February 6th. All right, guys, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I'll see you in our next stream soon enough. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thanks for following. And we'll see you in a bit for whatever comes next. We'll cover any other live events. We'll have to go back and watch the Age of Exploration and we'll have to watch more on like the other types of victories and animations and units. There's much more to learn. I haven't had too much of a chance to play this one yet, so I'm looking forward to more. All right, thank you, chat, for watching, and we'll see you all in a bit for the next Big O stream. Exclamation point, clock out. Thanks for dropping in for Civilization 7, our first live gameplay from the devs of the modern age, and hopefully we get to see more in the future. I'm excited to see what they got in store for us next. Thanks, guys. See you soon.